Hi guys, and welcome back to another week. So just going to talk about a couple of things first, and I just have one or two questions. I think James did you one question. Um, First thing I want to discuss is how to develop mental strength. So I was on a podcast and it was probably slightly controversial where it was like mental strength. Wait, won't that mute you, James? I don't know. Um, Perfect. Mental strength in races doesn't really exist. And what I mean by that is, or maybe not in races. In races, it can be a thing, you know. But the idea of trying to be motivated to have mental strength, like try to G yourself up with positive self-talk, and that's going to get you through a race, is kind of bullshit in my opinion. Um, like yeah, that David Goggins thing of just digging deep and you'll get the most out yourself, and it doesn't work. Like, because we're all trying our hardest. Like, I think I say that more as a way of people should be a lot, people are too hard on themselves. They should be a lot easier on themselves. If you're tiring and you fail in a race, it's not like that you're mentally weak or anything. It's like you've just physically gone too much. Okay, so how to improve that isn't to beat yourself up about dying in a race, and then trying, because I've done all that. Like I say that from a place of I had a year where I was running absolutely crap, and people were telling me, "Look, this is in your head," and I was believing them 100%. So I was writing like the times I wanted to run in my on my shoes, like it's like party. I was looking in the mirror. It's like you can do this, and all this positive self-talk malarkey, and yeah, none of it worked. None of it worked. And then the next year, I said it before, I was really fit and I was going into a race thinking I was going to do crap. And when I was in the race, lo and behold, because I was actually fitter, where I normally like start to buckle and fall down, um, I just was fit, so I just pushed on. That being said, though, right, there are probably technical things you can do, um, to improve mental strength or to improve your ability to like, and I'm talking about the mental strength, and Dave and James, let me know if this makes sense. So what I'm talking about here is that thing of not dying at the end of the race and not beating yourself up for dying. So how do you develop that mental strength of like not dying at the end of a race, or like, really falling off the pace that you're doing? Well, first, right, if this is an issue for you, you can start to try do stuff in training, like reps at the pace that you're trying to go at. So what I mean by that is if you're doing shorter, more manageable reps, you can really try G yourself up for the rep. So for example, if when for a 5K, if I do 4 by a mile, that last mile is horrendous sometimes. So I might do 4 by a mile at like just a bit slower than 5K pace. So my at my best, my 5K pace was like say 4:35 per mile, 4:32 maybe. Um, and I'll do 4 by a mile at 4:40. You get the first one, it's hard. You get the second one, it's hard. You get the third one, and you're like, I don't know if I get the fourth one. But you can really, if you get through the third one, you're like, look, let's just try. And the mindset will be like, let's just do this third one. Let's hit this time. And if I need to take a little bit longer recovery, I do. And then it's like, can I break it down into manageable pieces? And how that helps in the mental strength is you have something to click back into in your training. Another session I would have done for 5K, and we usually have it Dave did this one really hard. In a marathon block, it's more meant to be like light and easy, but for a 5K block, it's our last hard session, and it's a mile at 10K pace, then it's 1200 at 5K pace. And 1200 at 5K pace is tough if it's just in training. So, and then it's 1200 at 10K pace, it's 800 a little bit faster than 5K pace. And what you'll find is I'll use that for the start of the race, that like, God, remember in that session at the start, you found it really tough, but didn't panic. And then by the end, the last couple of reps, you were better again. And same by the 4 by a mile. It might be like the first two, you're like, oh my God, there's no way I can do 2 more miles at this pace. And, I'd be the same with a 10K or like a half marathon. I might do 6 by a mile at the pace. So I'm only doing half the distance with like 75 seconds or 90 seconds recovery. And you might be 3 in going, oh my God, there's no way I can keep this going. But you kind of dig in to get there. Now, that's the icing on the cake. The main things you're going to do is develop that aerobic base. We'll be doing sessions like 10 by 400. Because even now when I say it, I have done those type of sessions where I've had to dig in. But when I was properly aerobically fit, even that 4 by a mile session, it didn't even become a mental strength game then. Then it became like, I couldn't believe the last one. We were getting down to like 432, 433 on the last couple. And I was nearly trying to slow myself up. But the first thing you can do is that in training, if you're doing interval reps, try do longer reps. You don't want to just be sprinting at 200 or 400. It's easy enough. You want to do the longer reps. If we're doing a 10K, for example, I love 20 by 400 off 30 seconds. It's kind of a Brian Maher. He's from Raheny, the coach. Dick Hooper. It's a Dick Hooper kind of special. 20 by 400 off 30 seconds. You're on number 6 and you're like, I can't believe I have another 14 of these to do. You start chugging through them at that 10K pace. By the last like 16, 17, starts to get a little bit easier. 18, 19, 20, you see the light. You're doing your 10K then in like, say, 2 weeks time. And you're like, you're in it. You're like, geez, this is tough at the start. But the mental strength is like, it nearly allows you to relax. Like, remember you did that session. So you have something in your brain that you can go back to that gives you confidence of what you've done. Okay, you see the way I'm getting like, there's 4 C's for confidence, which if you're talking about mental strength, confidence that like you're not panicking and you can just do what you need to do. So the 4th thing you get is the confidence. Before that, you need the competence. You need like proof that you've done it. Otherwise, it's just arrogance. If you're saying, oh, I'm trying to run this and I'm just going to do it like off David Goggins, like just believe in achieving myself. That like there's nothing based on that. Like the times you're looking, like I remember Dave McCarthy said it to me. I was trying to break 14 minutes for 5K. And I was like blowing up in all the races. So what happened with me was at 3K, I go through, say 9 minutes for 3K, and I just completely blow up. Like one race I went back, doesn't sound like a lot if you're listening to this, but I went back to 14:30, which is like basically dead last. And I was digging in as hard as I could. Now, I could say, oh, I'm not mentally strong enough, like I'm losing it. But at that stage, I've been through all that kind of BS of the mental strength. So I knew, look, no, there's something physically here. And he said it, it's like, what training sessions have you done to indicate you're in 14-minute shape? And rather than get upset or annoyed, I was like, he's dead right. He is dead right. I don't have any sessions. I had my aerobic was getting better, but I hadn't then dialed that back in to specifics. So fairness to Emmett, my coach, sat down with him and Dave as well, McCarthy, and he was doing a few sessions and we put in a few key ones. That's where we came up with the mile, 1200, 1200, 800. We did the 4 by a mile again. Just like 3 or 4 weeks of these like dialed in sessions. So you can say, well, I've actually ran this pace. I'm being comfortable at this pace in training now. And I could dig into those sessions, like where they're harder, like, look, have one of the guys like pace me or being on the bike. And it's like, right now. So then when I went out for my next race, it's like getting up to 3K, like the digging in, everybody will dig in if you can. Like when I did it, I dug in when I can. So 2 things I did then were, I went out at 14:10 pace because I had a friend, he's like, you're just going out too fast. Went out at 14:10 pace. And then I had like a couple of sessions where I was like, yeah, remember, this is how you were feeling in that other session. And you were panicky a little bit in that, but you got through it. And that allowed me to more relax into the race. Okay, so I had to do stuff that matches what it is. So we have confidence. Competence is before that. Then it's kind of consistency, just doing the training, putting in the actual proper work, and then courage to start. That's the hard thing, just getting out every day. And once you're doing that, the races follow. Like it's believing in the process, keeping going is the key thing. Not blindly. Like you know, I know Dave's getting ready for his marathon. We won't be doing another one, but we'll at least kind of know what type of training works or doesn't work. Um, he had his he had a better run this week, so I do think it's going to taper off nicely. But what I must give Dave a lot of credit for is he's not panicking. David Hughes says he's not panicking. He's just going, God, I'm feeling a bit tired, but I'm not getting injured. I'm not getting sick. Let's stay going here. Some people, when that's happening, they just jump. They're jumping off the reservation. There's another person, and we're going to finish off their training. Lovely person, like, but we're going to finish off their training for the race. I won't even say what it is, so I can't distinguish them. But then I'm going to give them a refund for it because I just know by the training they're doing with us, it's a lot different than they've done in the past. Now I must give them a lot of credit because they're going to finish that type of training. But it's easy to panic when, especially you're in the depths of it. It's like the main thing for mental strength is just consistency, doing the training, and then adjust, reflect on what you've done after, but like stay doing it. So that's the first couple of things, and I'll get you guys to recap in a second, but the first couple of things would be to develop mental strength, have sessions where you're doing intervals, shorter blocks, but not like 200 or 400, not like sprinting hard. Like get into the race pace, get comfortable at that race pace, and then that gives you something to kind of click into. And just another pro tip here is like 5K pace in training. So me running 14-minute 5K pace actually feels like 3K pace in a race. When I got adrenaline, when I got caffeine in, when I got everyone else going, how it feels on the track in Kilkenny running at 14-minute pace is exactly, say that would be for me 67s. That feels like 64s when things are smooth for a 3K. So even if you're a little bit above your actual race pace, it's just giving you that close enough like feel, you know, so you don't even need to push it that hard. If you did it and then the next week actually did a race, you'd be gobsmacked of how much either faster you're moving or smoothly. Okay. The other thing, right, and this comes to James had a question about what pace to do, nothing about mental strength, but have a race in 2 weeks' time. Last year, similar training schedule. It's a cross-country race, and I was like 3:54 for the first K, 4:06, 4:31, 4:23, and last 0.8 was 3:32. Okay. Especially in cross-country, you can't judge off the year before, because if it's raining loads, the ground is going to be way softer or way harder. It could be windy. It could be whatever. Key thing, and this is kind of coming back to our mental strength. How do I not die at the start? You have to be relaxed for the first half of the race. So for James, that 6K, the first lap, the first 2K should feel like threshold pace. It should feel like exactly how it feels when you go out at threshold pace. If you didn't, were looking down and you're just running, that's how it should feel. And then what you need to, this is where the mental strength comes in. You're going to start feeling good because people go out and they blow, like even if you look at those splits, you went out, first one's 3:54, next one's 4:06. It's not a massive drop, but it's still a drop of like, 12 seconds. Third one then is 4:31, which is a drop from your first K of 37 seconds. And then you're kind of stabilizing again. Now, there can be uphills and downhills, but that might account for that. But especially in Abbottstown, it starts down a hill and I go all the way around and then it comes up. You want to be relaxed on that downhill. You do not want to be like sprinting, because then halfway through a cross-country race, you can start turning the screw because there's going to be a lot of lads dying ahead of you. And what you have to do then is start like pulling them back. After halfway, do not let any person go past you. If someone goes past you, go with them. And you're just like going up to the next groups, up to the next group, up to the next groups. So I never look at cross country in terms of paces or hitting it even. I just look at like go out and threshold pace, like it's a threshold race for the first 2K. Next kind of 2K, you're holding your pace. But you're trying to relax. Sorry, next 1K, because it's a 3K race or a 6K race, holding the pace, and then you're building hard. You're going through the team. I'm going to come on to a little bit of a rant in a second. Okay, James and Dave, what were you getting from that on the mental strength, just to see if I'm kind of hitting the right things? Do you mind unmuting yourselves and saying what you say?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Yeah, no, sure. It's exactly what I was doing there during the training block. I was just keeping going during the training, like, and it's if you haven't the training done, like, you can't. There's nothing else to blame, really, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And what you did really good, Dave. I'm not just saying it because you're here. Like
Yeah,
with Laurie, I always big her up, and then if there's something I was disagreeing with her, she knows I'll say it. Like, but what you did brilliant was you can have your doubts, but I have seen people who I know one guy, I won't say his name, right? And he was a really good runner, like really good. But he tried one approach, right? I remember one year we were both going for a European senior qualification, and he should have got it. He ran like, say at that time it was like 3:42, and he ran like 3:42.00. So he had to run 3:41 something. And he ran like 3:42.8. But he's like, oh no, I'm like really flat. I'm not doing enough speed work. So like he took the next 3 weeks, like basically nearly off just hammering speed. And then he came back and then he's like rather than just racing through those weeks and naturally progressing and at least getting the qualification, he came back and then he was a little bit worse again. And then he flipped. He's like, oh crap, now I'm not like strong enough. And it's like, if he just had kept the course, he would have definitely qualified. But like
yeah,
hopping in and hopping out, like they say that about like the stock market, really, it goes up and down, but like the people get hurt are the people that jump off the freaking roller coaster. If you stay on the roller coaster, eventually you leave out. And what you were doing great there is you did great two things, David. I must say. First was just getting through the training because it gives you, you've done a lot of sessions now where we've done aerobic work on the Saturday, and then you've done a long run on the Sunday. So the weekend's volume has a lot of quality in it, and total has a lot of mileage in it, which will
yeah,
help for the marathon, as opposed to some people who just do a long run and a very easy run. They're not getting any like aerobic quality, but they do get like time on their feet. You get the time on your feet because your mileage is the same as theirs over the weekend, and plus you get the aerobic. And then second
yeah,
thing is, it's good to know, like, just note, I think this works for me. I think this doesn't work for me. Because we can use that. I know you're not going to do a marathon next. We might have a half marathon, we might have a 10K or a 5K PB. And we'll know, okay, let's just add these type of training sessions in this team. Now, I know this week you were feeling a bit better.
yeah, yeah,
So like, but like that's it. It's like staying the course. Knowing like I'm in a gully for a reason. I'm in hard training. What can I do personally to dig out? Can I recover better? Can I do X and Y? And then know like as we start to freshen up, this is going to get better. Yeah. Uh
yeah.
James,
Oh,
so yeah, that's it. Staying the course. Having if you were like, I am dying, I would say to you, James, you're Dave, you're doing right, so we don't need it. But say
yeah,
if you're like mental strength was an issue, I'd be like, okay, we need to do a session that's maybe half the distance, but we'll like say for a marathon, it'll be like 2 mile reps at marathon pace. And we'll do 6 of them. So it'll be like 12 miles at it. Just to get used to, yeah, you get used to like when you're tired, can you still hit this pace? To give you that confidence when you're in the race, it's like, look, I've done something that hits it. Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
good. Uh, James, then, do you okay about that strategy for your runs? And that should help with mental strength. Lads, like, I know I use this Charlie Munger line. It's like, tell me where I'll die so I know to never go there. It's the same. If you're worried about dying, a lot of it's like what you've done beforehand. The start of every race, from 5K up, it shouldn't feel hard at the start. Like that's why I don't really encourage people even to use heart rates. We use a lot of heart rates to monitor during training, but in the race, your heart rate's going to be lower than zone 3 for the marathon. Then it's going to be lower than zone 3 for the marathon. Then it's going to be at zone 3 pace in the middle, and then it's going to be higher. Like you're going to be hurting. So it wouldn't be right to like just try keep it steady the whole way. So it's like you should be a bit easier at the start at that pace. and then build in, and then you're going to be hurting more at that pace afterwards. Don't know if you can unmute there, James.
Yeah, the thing that I found there, just over my 2 last long runs, I did a 33K there 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
and I tried to push the last 3K of it, and then last Friday, the stormy day, I went out and I did a 34K run, and my time at 32K on the stormy wet day was about 3 to 4 minutes faster than the warm, perfect conditions. So
Yeah,
I don't know, just strange, you know.
That is strange, and it's like David had, like, with training, the hardest thing is like just keep trucking. The variation I have when I'm doing, like, say, a 5 by 7 minute session or a 4 by, it's massive. Some days I'm like 5:30s, 5:40s, and other days when it just then starts to click, and it'll start to really just top down as they start to come into pacing. So yeah, exactly. I think it's taking the rough with the smooth and not getting bogged down on one particular day. I'm feeling good or I'm feeling bad. Just getting the training done. You're getting the stimuluses. For that cross country, you okay? I'd go out like it's threshold for the first one. So if you did 4 by 6 minutes, like how that 6 minutes would feel. So go easier at the start is what I'm saying.
Yes, yes.
For the first lap, you should be like, I'm comfortable. Like, not like absolutely not jogging, but like breathe in. I have a gear to go up here. Because everybody, like, the way you do it, everybody, like, I've got onto cross country. I ran for Ireland at cross country, a 10K cross country. I bet Ephraim Giddy, actually, he was younger, but he's still very good. Just pipped him on the line to make the team. Now he's run like, what, 60 minutes for half marathon. I should never beat him. I should never ever beat him over a 10K cross country, which is equivalent of like a 10 mile probably on the road. But people go out too hard in cross countries. They all go flying, and then they all die. And that's not mental strength. That's just like they've gone too hard. So if you can chill at the start. In that race where I qualified, it was top 6 seniors to go, and I just squeaked on the team, outkicked them in the last, say, 100 meters. I was 40th after the first lap. Now I could see the lads ahead, but it's like, I'm just like, it's those 10 seconds make a massive difference. Like, if you're like, say, if you had gone through, right, where you went through in 3:54, if you had gone through in 4:10, which is 16 seconds, I guarantee the rest would have been about 4:06, 4:06. So you would have gone 4:06, 4:10, 4:06, 4:10, and then rather than a 4:31 and a 4:23, you would have gone 4:10, 4:10, and then you get back here 20, you get back here 20. When you're chasing lads down and you're passing them, you get some big boost.
Yeah.
So even if you know a couple of competitors, they're going out fast, like, just keep them in your eye line. Like, keep them that, like, if you had to do a big surge, you could get back up to them. But don't go out at the first one. You know, the big hill, say. Stay, like, just like lean into that, but don't be like pushing super hard up that. And then when you come off that big hill and you turn, again, just like keep relaxed, but stay pushing there. And then when you'll come on the downhill then onto the second lap, then start to turn the screw, open the legs, try get the next group, you know? Yeah. And then the last lap, lads will be falling away and you'll just be taking it. Now, it's a hard way to run because now it's good, like, you got the adrenaline going, but it's a hard way to run because you can't settle. Dying is easier, actually, because you go out hard and then it's over, you're kind of sloppy, but you're going nowhere. Where this way you'll be getting more. So on purpose, try to do less. Try to go out more relaxed for the first lap.
Yeah.
And you'll do better.
Yeah, I tend to let the others dictate the pace, like, that's my problem.
Yeah. But if you let them off 10, 15 seconds, they're not that far ahead, but like that time is massive. It's so hard to get that back. Jake Whiteman has won a 1500 meter world championship, and he came second in the 1500 this year. And he was at my sister's wedding, and we were chatting. He's like, God, you bet me at that Edinburgh cross country. And I think it's because when people do cross country, they do it from an early age. And when you're younger and there's so many people, the go-to strategy is get out as hard as you can. So people just have that in their mindset, even though they're older. So he was saying that when I did it was a 1500 meter relay and I had the fastest time. And again, he was there, the European champion was there, probably one of my best races internationally. And the only difference was they went off so hard. They did the first 200, they went through in like 26 seconds, which like for a cross country mile, like basically a 3K, it's going out at that time. I just went through in like maybe 30. So I looked like I was dead last. First 200, first 400, dead last. First 600, took maybe one or two people. The next 600, I was just like taking. And then took the last guy to lead, you know, to get the fastest time of the day. So it's just knowing, trusting that, like just first lap, be back a bit more, try to be in like thresholdy tempo pace in a cross country race. Then the second, say the middle third, you're not going back. Anyone who goes by you, you just go with them, start moving past the team. And then the last lap, you're just like taking as many people as you can. You're like pushing because they'll be floundering, but you'll actually have that. That's when you have the mental strength to go for something. Okay. One rant I have is just on the cross country. I don't know if anyone in AI listens to this or if it's European athletics. I doubt it, but I'm putting it out into the world. Go back to have men's races and women's races. The biggest joke they did was, it was always say men's was like 10K and women's would be 6 or 8K cross country. Absolutely nobody had any issue with that. The women's races were always competitive. The men's races were competitive. Whoever in God's name thought, you know what, let's have equality or whatever mumbo jumbo stuff. Let's have the same distance for the men's and women's. And they initially had a 9K because they wanted to kind of, because cross country should be longer. It's like an endurance event. And this is from a guy who does 1500 saying this, but it should be longer. Then there's not as many women who want to do 9K cross country. It's not done kind of traditionally. They're kind of happier with the 6K or 8K as a max. So then there was a load of there's kind of dropout of the women's races. So now both men and women have to do 7K. 7K is too short as a actual like cross country race for men when it's always been 10K. It's going to be totally different people who qualify for a 7K over a 10K. There's 3K in the difference there. So, you know, I think they should have looked at that and gone, all right, we wanted to balance these out. We thought it might land at 8K or 9K, but it's just not worked out. Let's just go back to a 10K for men, an 8K or a 6K for women, whichever gets the most kind of, you know, buy-in in their attendance. I just think this having to have them the exact same distances is just stupid. Like, yeah. Rant over. Hopefully they look at that and they say, just look, it's like, are we happy with this? Has this been successful? And I think they're going to have to say no, because men's short courses used to be either 4 or 6K, and they're very different than guys doing 10K on the cross country. And I feel like cross country specialists are being really disadvantaged by this because they've got used to all the way up knowing that like a men's 10K, a men's cross is 10K. Yeah, so that was just one. Hopefully that gets put out into the atmosphere, go back to the way it was. It was working fine. I never heard one person give out about that. Like a women's 8K is still going to get the distance people because yeah, it's just there's not as big a depth in the fields. So if you can have it slightly shorter, you get more people being competitive at a good race. Whereas the men's depth is quite good, so I think they want to get lads who are better at the 10K because they're kind of cross-country specialists. I think you're really disadvantaging the cross-country specialists. Okay, and then last question was, I have a 10K, an 8K, and a 21K race within the next 2 months. I'd like to follow for the next 6 weeks some training. Is it too late to start a little plan? No. If not, shall I follow the 10K marathon one? Yeah, we'll put you on... We'll put her on our Final Surge app, so you'll actually get like follow along training for that, and I'll have it like 6 weeks out. You just have to decide which is the race that you most want to do. I'm just actually putting that in for this person. So it's hard to train for 3 races in like 2 months, obviously. So what you want to do is think, what's my kind of A race? Do I want to do the best in the, like the first race is a 10K on November 16th. Then it's on 30th is an 8K. And then last is December 7th is a half. I imagine we'll train for the half and just take in the other 2 races. Look, it just depends. If you have to decide sometimes, am I just doing these races because I enjoy racing and I'm taking them in? If that's the case, I'd probably just keep a general training block. So what I mean by that is I would still do my aerobic type of work during the week, and I do some more aerobic and maybe a little bit of like 10K kind of work on the weekend. Keep it very specific, like, you know, minute on, bit of fartlek or something on the weekend. We do have those follow along sessions, so you could just do the 10K half marathon version of that. Yeah, the 10K marathon. I wouldn't do the 5K one. If it's like I actually want to do well in one race, well, then you got to pick the race. I would pick the race that's the furthest away if that's the one, so maybe the half. And then you got to know you're going to have to sacrifice the other races. And what I mean by sacrifice is if it comes into it, like say first race is November 16th, that should be fine. Say the next race is November 30th, right? Well, we might taper in for the first 10K. So that might be our easy week. And then if the 8K comes in the next 3 weeks, which it is going to come in, you're not going to taper for that. So you're going to take that 8K purely as a session. We might just go easier on the Thursday, day off on the Friday, and then race on the Saturday and go a slightly easier long run on the Sunday. But then you're back into training because we have to taper properly for the half. Okay, so that's it. If it's just more like I want to do these races, I keep the training, the 2 sessions, keep the sessions or the workouts quite general and just jump into the races with tapering down for them. If not, I'd actually think is like, let's try do decent in this December 7th race. That's plenty of time out. And we'll just put the other races in, but we'll train through them. Okay, hope that makes sense. And their foot is fine after changing runners. Yeah, I always find with calves and shoes, if you're getting issues, change up the shoes that you're wearing. One for the bounce, it helps, but the other thing mainly is that sometimes just like the foot hitting in different positions than it is can just give it a good bit of relief. Okay, Dave or James, do you have any questions there then? And if not, I will leave it off there and then.
I just have one quick one for you there, Owen.
Yeah.
So the last long run I did, I wore my carbon plated runners.
Yeah.
And that's probably the longest time I was ever in them.
Yeah.
And my toes now are kind of a bit black and blue afterwards. And I was sort of half thinking of just wearing my normal runners on the marathon. Just
No.
No. Okay. That says enough.
Yeah, you might lose a toenail, but I think it'd be worth it.
Right, that's all I want to hear. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, like my friends were doing a Hyrox on like a half Hyrox on the weekend, and it was hard. And you know me now, this is the way I start a story, go along for a real short piece of advice. But they were like, afterwards they were dying, and they were like, oh my God, we're going to have serious DOMS, like muscle soreness now. And I was like, you won't. You had already trained and had like the DOMS. The race was hard. I was like, you don't get that hard DOMS twice. So it's the same for you. That the hardest day is like the first day you wear them that long.
Yeah. Okay.
The body will kind of adapt. Do you know what? Maybe just open up it's probably like the shoe is just a bit compressed at the top. You might lose a toenail, but I definitely would wear the carbon fibers. 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't like between now and then would I wear them long again? No, maybe just wear them for like half that distance so your body gets used to them again. Open up the laces maybe a little bit more to see if that helps. But yeah, no, I definitely wear them. Do not wear your normal shoes.
Okay. No problem.
Toenails grow back, PVs don't, so.
Okay.
Great, yeah. Perfect. Great question.
Thank you.
All right, thanks guys. Really enjoyed that one. Hope you enjoyed it too.